go. Very good. So this is awesome to see. I'm keeping a close eye on this, obviously. No. Keeping a close eye on this. Where obviously Teddy's setting some boundaries, right? He's getting a little too much, obviously. And what I want to see is that when another dog is setting those boundaries towards another dog, that dog backs off when that happens. Look at the boundary setting. Look at the boundary setting as if it were a command that they were giving. Saying, hey, need you to leave me alone a little bit. All right, guys, David with Miracle Canine here. So today we're going to keep progressing along with Tank. So Tank is our reactive Rottweiler that we've been working with here. We've been focusing predominantly on working on his leash manners, obviously, as well as providing outlets for him, building up his energy, things like that, obviously. So today we're going to start integrating him into socials. We've done a very little amount of this in the time that he's been here so far. We introduced him, I think the first couple days that he was here, to a handful of dogs exclusively on muzzle. And honestly, like, he was on a too small of a muzzle when he came in on. He was a little bit suppressed when he was meeting those other dogs, obviously. So we didn't really get a very good read off of how he actually was going to be in this situation. So we're going to do it again today, obviously, and we're going to see what we get with it. So obviously right now you can tell we got two dogs out here trying to play. You can tell he's getting very worked up from it, obviously, which I'm not really that concerned about this. Obviously, this is just like we call a case of FOMO, obviously. But what I am looking for before I start this process is that he can still regulate his emotions to some extent. So you'll see a lot of the barking and stuff, right? I'm waiting to see if he tries to like paw at that gate or if he continues escalating or de-escalates or what we kind of see there. So this is gonna be the first couple minutes of what we do here. Is just kind of observing this and seeing what we get. So I know it's a hard life, buddy. I gotta fix your collar though because it's over top of the e-collar. Here, let me let these guys outside real quick. Hey. No. So obviously we are starting to add in some consequences for things like the jumping and stuff. Now, one thing that his owners notated for us is he does have a history of redirecting when getting corrected in an aroused state, right? So you'll notice right there, obviously, I marked with no, and I was mindful of the fact that before I hit that button, I put myself in a position where I had the gates blocking him from me in case we were to see that, because I do need to start getting on these things, but I got to make sure as we do that, we are assessing at what threshold is it that he starts losing his ever-loving marbles and turning and try to nip and bite at people that are correcting him in that situation. So these are all just little things in real time as I'm doing this stuff that we address. But you can see right there, that was a prime example. If Barrier was getting released, I wanted to go mess with his collar. Hi, buddy. And what was his instinct thing to do is start losing control and jumping, right? So we addressed that. No different than when he was getting himself worked up when the dogs were here. If he would have pawed at the gate, obviously we would have corrected that. That just helps him to regulate those emotions a little bit better. Come on, let's go. So we'll give him another minute, let him hang out. Now that he got that correction for jumping, what I'm curious to see is does he get himself as worked up in the first place, obviously, while he's out here. And then we'll obviously let him into the group and see what we get. Now, body language-wise, I don't know if you can see clearly through the gate here or not, but nothing I'm seeing is like horrendously concerning. I actually was going back and forth on if I wanted to start on muzzle or not. Though I don't think he's going to go after the other dogs here, I do think his energy level is just a little bit too high where I am going to start with it, and we'll make him earn that freedom a little bit more so here. Again, this all looks very playful, right? I don't have an issue with anything I'm seeing. He's using his nose nicely when they come up as opposed to going right into like a reactive state. So my assumption is we're going to take this off pretty quickly. Bed. Good. Sit. I know. Get yourself all worked up. Hey, Tank. All right. right, we're gonna give it a go here. So I'm gonna open this gate, I'm gonna let him rip, and we'll see what we get. It's an important thing, right? Right when you start that social, you've gotta just let him go. Even if you were unsure about what the dog was gonna do, you were unsure if there was gonna be a problem or anything, if you add any restriction because you're nervous of a leash, pulling back, anything like that, you are setting yourself up for failure and you are 10xing your probability that's gonna turn into a problem. Now again, as suspected, this all seems very, very positive so far. Immediately he started jumping into play bows. Immediately you could tell he's wanting to interact. I just want to make sure, obviously, hey, that there's not going to be an issue with him before we take this off, but I would assume very, very quickly we're going to pop this muzzle off of him. So safety protocols we have here. One, I'm going to put a drag line on him. This gives me an ability where, like, worst case scenario, if you were to try to go after one of the dogs and I couldn't stop him easily with the e-collar, a slip lead drag line. Hey, thanks. Hey, hold on, buddy. A slip lead drag line is going to allow me to immediately gain control of the situation without needing to obviously put myself in a vulnerable position where I need to, like, reach in and grab his collar directly. Thing number two, obviously we've got his e-collar on. I always talk about how I keep it default set all the way up just in case. And then last safety protocol, obviously we have the riding crop, very standard in dog socialization. This gives me an ability to get in between dogs quickly as I need to, or give a little swat if I need to, if there were to be an altercation or a fight or something, to be able to, again, safely break up any issues. So let's give it a go, see what we get. Now, this is a dog that does not get to socialize almost ever with other dogs. I think they had mentioned that they have one, maybe two other dogs within the family that they could let him around. And this, when we're dealing with reactive dogs, is like half of the battle, right? Dogs in general are such a novel sensation that, like, every time they see them out on the walk, there's no other opportunity to ever engage with them. They desperately want to be able to engage with them, and obviously they explode and they react for those exact reasons. Now, again, I'm not saying this is going to be perfect. We might see a little attitude here at some point. If I need to intervene, obviously I will. But this dog needs to have some social outlets where he can get this bouncy, spastic, neurotic energy out of his system so he's not constantly feeling like he needs to do it when he's out on the walks. One thing I'm talking about all the time when it comes to socialization is how you as a trainer or a dog owner or whatever need to be able to step back and let shit play out, right? And you need to trust your safety protocols you have where if things go sideways, you could address it quickly, but we have to allow these dogs to make decisions. So you see how crazy and energetic this is. And just a minute ago, Lilo was laying down on the ground and he was like getting on top of her and stuff. And like so many people, especially when you don't know the dog, like I don't know this dog that well. I don't know him that well socially. They don't know what the dog is going to do. And they start jumping in right away and trying to micromanage those situations. And again, all that does is create frustration and stress and start the problem in the first place, where if you would have took a step back and let it play out a little bit on your own, that problem may have never started in the first place. So I've got to be in a position where I let them decide, I let them socialize freely, and I'm there to address only if a problem breaks out. And again, I use my safety protocols, I use my corrective measures that I have to be able to then discipline for that problem and make sure that there's gonna be no issues. That was a great example there. We got a dog that got reactive in their kennel towards him. And obviously, as you saw, he did exactly what we want him to do, which is instead of engage in that reaction, he disengaged and he created space saying, okay, fine, you don't want anything to do with this, I'm gonna go somewhere else. It's a very good sign to see with a dog like him that will let you know how they're gonna react in social situations when they are presented with those same exact scenarios. And a lot of this could be, we've done a lot of work with his dog reactivity so far. We've taken him in a lot of public places over the course of this first week that he's been with us, and we've really started chipping away at telling him, hey dude, you gotta stay focused on us. You can't just go balls to the walls crazy every time that you see another dog for that exact reason, right? And that's why it's translating to this really nicely where we have him regulating all of those emotions that he's feeling and making good decisions. Wow, Paige, I feel like this is the most I've talked in a long time. I feel like I'm just rapid fire. Trying to make a good YouTube video for you guys. I do it for the gram. I do it for the tube. This is good. I know, right? I love their slick moves. Like, you see how he's like getting on top of her and stuff as he's doing it? The growling, the jumping, the bouncing. See that head over the shoulders, head over the back there, right? Again, many people would say, step in right away. Don't let them do that. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. All I'm saying is, dude didn't do anything wrong yet, right? And then like the common other thing people will say was like, oh, well, what if the other dog reacts improperly to it? To which I say like all the time, that's the other dog's problem. If my dog jumps on the back of another dog and that dog's instinctual response is to go into absolute kill mode and try to murder the other dog, that is that dog's problem, right? It's like how we use examples of dogs that don't like having their feet touched or being messed with at the vet or things like that. And people are like, oh, well, like they don't like having their feet touched. And they're using that as like an excuse for their dog literally trying to rip the throat out of like the veterinarian. And it's like, does the crime equal the punishment in this circumstance? Like, do you actually believe that just because a vet tried to give them a vaccine that warrants your dog trying to literally murder them? It's like, no, it doesn't, obviously. That's a really great situation to see play out because, again, you saw they got tangled up with each other, and I need to see how they're going to regulate those emotions in this situation, right? This is good. Braxton's sitting over there like, I don't want none of that smoke. This is good. So they're getting tired. It's much physicality. A lot of times when I'm socializing dogs, one of my favorite points that I want to see the dogs hit is that they figure it out with each other, right? So they go through this whole play process. They work through any issues or nonsense that there may be. They get their like testing each other and figuring out who's more dominant than each other and all that stuff out of their system. And then once we've hit that point, they hit this point where they just on their own go and chill. Not because we told them they needed to, not because we put them in downstays, not because we corrected them for anything, but they just like, they got it out of their system, right? This is what he's been dying for. This is what he's been wanting to do so badly. Same with her, obviously, right? And it's like, they're just, you can see it's like they're fulfilled, right? They achieved that point in which they figured out any nonsense that they had with each other and just supervising this because they haven't interacted a whole lot, obviously. So that's another thing to keep in mind when you're socializing dogs. Like just because they did really well with one dog, if he goes to start playing with another one, I'm going to watch it a little extra closely because it's a different relationship dynamic. But yeah, I'm hitting this point, I'm figuring out how to describe it, obviously, where it's like they just like hit this point of harmony where it's like they got all that energy, all that pent up like emotional and physical frustration out of their system by playing with each other, and they don't need it anymore, right? They're chill, right? They're calmer, they're more balanced. And that is like my favorite part that I see, not because it's forced on them, but because they got what they needed to get out of their system. But he's whooped. He said, I never got to do this before. Lilo's like, come on, let's keep playing. Yeah, she's a fun little dog. This is another dog that's here for like pretty serious dog reactivity issues that again, like just, you could see this urge she has to just play and be wild. And like if that's not satiated, it's just gonna explode itself into other areas like her owner sees on the walk. Like I made a post today, like, I was talking about how like, exercise isn't the solution, right? Like them playing is not the solution in and of itself to these problems, but it sure as hell can make your job a lot easier. Teddy, you're looking good. Looking good. Oh, look at him. Oh, Teddy. You look so good. Oh, man. Not yet. Just leave him there. Yeah, that's fine. I'll get him.
The groomer said if he needs a little touch-up before he goes home, like if his hair gets really stinky, she has like a special face wash.
Oh, cool. Did she say why he smells so bad?
It just gets sour and it's
Is that what it is?
thick in there. It combines with just like the water from his,
Got it.
From his water pail and just like slobber and things like that.
Because it's like every time we would groom him here, it's like within 2 days he like smelled again.
Yeah. She said it was just like in there was also like the hair was not matted, but it was like clumped.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't like dry all the way, so it would smell.
Nice.
But she cleaned that up. So.
Man,
But she
Teddy.
said if his face gets stinky again, she'll just touch him up for free.
Cool. We should probably just plan for that and book it ahead of time.
Yeah, I'll let her know then. Because he still has what, like a...
He goes home the first or the second. I think the second.
So, a little less.
About a week. Yeah.
Okay, I'll let her know.
He looks like a little poodle now. Yeah, right? Maybe. like the most of his face I've ever seen in my life. Teddy said, let me in. I don't want to get you all gross, though, right after you just got groomed. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to let him in. Look at him. He's looking like he's just like feeling himself right now, you know? He said, fuck yeah. Again, new dog, keeping a close eye on things, especially when things start turning into a bit of a chase game where he's kind of running away and everything. Not stepping in yet, not doing anything, but definitely keeping a close eye on it. Look at him. Teddy is just loving his life. Teddy said, I had no idea how fun training could be. Did I tell you about how I ran into Teddy's old trainer at the coffee shop yesterday? While I had Teddy. It was the most awkward thing in the world. Oh, very good. So this is awesome to see. I'm keeping a close eye on this, obviously. No. Keeping a close eye on this. Where obviously Teddy's setting some boundaries, right? He's getting a little too much, obviously. And what I want to see is that when another dog is setting those boundaries towards another dog, that dog backs off when that happens. Look at the boundary setting. Look at the boundary setting as if it were a command that they were giving. Saying, hey, need you to leave me alone a little bit. So it's my job, if he does not back down to those things, it is my job to then step in and intervene. This is good. You see he's kind of going back for more a little bit here. So I'm going to see, obviously, if Teddy sets another boundary with him, if he backs off quicker this time from it. And so much of this, keep in mind, he just doesn't know how to play, right? He's literally never had an opportunity to learn any of these social cues, right? So you see he's going around, he's getting frustrated, he's barking, he's trying to get a rise out of the dogs. He's a little too intense with the sniff. It's all these different variables he's just never had an opportunity to learn. And likely any time his owners have tried to socialize him before, it's been quickly and improperly shut down before he had a chance to figure any of it out. Look at all the slobber getting over freshly groomed Teddy. Gross. Braxton, bro. He likes to do that when he's playing. He does the throw the head back and howl. And again, like he really is handling this extraordinarily well. Like this is a really high energy situation, right? There's a lot of dogs really getting worked up, bouncing into him, giving corrections, things like that. And all things considered, like he's doing pretty damn well.